Hello. Today we're going to be looking at small blind play. So what I've done here is looking at a bunch of all the stack sizes from 14 big blinds to 40 big blinds. And I've copied down the frequencies of calling or choosing a non-all-in 3-bet or choosing an all-in 3-bet. So starting at 14 big blinds, at this stack depth, we are not going to have the non-all-in 3-bet. These are all from GTO Wizard. And the hijack and hijack through button, they're not going to be playing limp, jam, or fold. So there will be no 3-bet. But the earlier positions are going to be choosing a smaller opening size, and we're just going to be shoving versus that or calling. So versus the under the gun, we'll be calling 12.2, all-inning 9.4. Twice. Versus under the gun +1, we'll be calling 12.3, all-inning 10. Now versus the 20 big blind, the cutting the butt off do now have a limping range. We're going to be splitting between calling and all in. It is going to be choosing a non-all-in 3-bet a very small percentage of the time versus the button and the cutoff. But so honestly, you don't even need this in your range. It's not going to make much difference for your win rate, hardly at all. Now 25 big blinds. Now we are incorporating the non-all-in 3-bet a bit more. Choosing like a 3.4x. It changes the size a little bit versus the different positions. It doesn't matter a ton. But yeah, now we're going to be splitting. We're still going to be calling about the same amount. But now we're going to be incorporating some 3x's alongside our all-ins. And once we get up to 40 big blinds, we're hardly going to be using the all-in at all, and we are going to be primarily using a 4x raise size. So if you look at now, let's just look right now, button response, so 60 big blinds, we're calling a lot of these marginal type hands intending to raise the top of our range. And a lot of these hands, like Queen 9 suited, it's splitting. Queen 8 suited, it's splitting. Queen 10 suited, pure calling, but Jack 9 suited is splitting. Let's go down to 20 big blinds, and we'll see that, it's a lot of the same hands that are choosing to call at some frequency. So what we're going to look at in this video is I have built a filter here where a stack of big blinds is greater than 20. We are facing a raiser. We are in the small blind, and we have a range of kind of all the marginal type hands. Some of these offsuit Broadways, mid to low suited aces, offsuit aces. These hands right here, the marginal hands, which tend to have a very similar expectation with both calling and raising. That's why, if you look at, you see a lot of these hands are splitting, right? Like ace 8 suited, queen 10 off, king jack off. So these hands that are splitting, the question is, how do we decide which one's better? Because obviously, these are, if we're playing versus a GTO opponent, but our real opponents will not be playing GTO. So it may be the case that the expectations are very close in GTO for calling versus raising, but in a real game, one might be much better than the other. So we're going to look at some opening decisions, some of these marginal hands. And actually, I'm going to put one more filter in here. I don't want to do with the super deep stuff. So let's go less than 70. Oh, it won't let me do both. That's odd. Oh no, I just got rid of it. Yeah, it's weird that it won't let me do both, but all right, let's just look at greater than or equal to 20. Yeah, I would like to, be able to filter between the bottom and a large stack size, but all right, let's look at the last 100 hands and we'll jump right in. Here, I think this looks like we may be on the final table bubble here. Or let's see what. Yeah, because there's so many seats empty, we might very well be on the final table bubble or quite deep in the tournament here. And the first thing that I'll look at is with these marginal hands, if I don't 3-bet them, is how likely am I to get squeezed? And in this case, not very likely. He's only 3-betting 6%, only 5.3% from the big blind, and his squeeze is only 7.1%. So it certainly makes some sense to. This is roughly. I think it can be jammed here. These fours. Actually, we have this situation right up now. Versus the hijack here. Excuse me, my laptop. So yeah, here we are playing versus the cutoff. Excuse me. Did I say hijack? And 4 is a hand that is choosing some all-ins here. However, in this case, I don't want to jeopardize my stack in an ICM situation in the tournament. And by playing the hand for implied odds, we can let the big blind in. The case here is that he might jam a bit more, given that he's so short. This is a very close situation, in my mind. I think due to the ICM constraint, and we can call if this guy folds and he jams. We don't love it, but I think we would be calling. Probably not. 50% at best. Hard to say. I'd have to look that one up for you, actually. All right, we flop the set and decide to slow play it, which makes sense. We even have a spade blocker. This guy's pretty nitty, 15-12. He's not going to interact much with the 6 and the 4 from the cutoff. We want to let him keep bluffing for sure. So, and here I think we certainly have to raise with the double flush draw board, which we do, and we get a fold. All right, 4s again. Here, I'm just waiting for the HUD to load. It takes a second on the replayer. We are dealing with a 6% 3-better who is only squeezing 7. Is this even the same? Is this the exact same hand? It must be one hand after or something. We have 4s again in the small blind. Um, and now that we have the big stack, and we're putting a lot of pressure on people here, I would like to see the LA now, though I've reviewed this hand and I know I do not. Now that we have the big stack, we see fours can be jammed with the stack size. And the ICM situations here, we have the big stack. We put a ton of pressure on them. Might fold 5s, 6s, 7s. Here, I would like to see the jam. Now, we're just going to, nothing much going on here. And here, we're in the very early stages of the tournament, maybe. And actually, this one. So here, I would much prefer to see a call. We're not going to get squeezed a ton, and even if we do, we don't really mind. Our hand's fine. We're not going to get squeezed much. It's a player we probably want to let into the pot, and our reverse implied odds are not going to be very good after making this raise. And I believe ace-10 we are going to see as a pure call versus a button at 70 bigs. This is 35 bigs. Let's take it up to 60. We're still pure calling. Don't like this raise very much. Not the best. Oh, the reason why I probably did it here, unopened button percentage, 71%. That's enormous. He's just not going to be able to defend that. So actually, now that I've looked at that stat, I do like my 3-bet in spite of the wizard not being in favor of it, just because it'll generate so much immediate value. 71% is a lot to be opening. Like, let's see how often the button is opening at this stack depth. 55%, yeah. So 71 is a lot, and people aren't going to defend the raise as well as bots. So go on to the next hand. I actually do like that in hindsight. Waiting for the HUDs to load. It just takes a second, unfortunately. Here, we 100% should be flatting. We got a 41-13-2 in the big blind. We want him in the pot. This guy is also folding 53% to 3-bets, which is kind of a lot, but I think we just want to let this player in. He's going to play terribly post-flop. Give us a lot of opportunities to make some really good money. And then once I've 3-betted, also another factor that can decide your 3-betting is if you have this statistic here, fold to 3-bet, C-bet, and 3-bet pot. If they're just way too tight playing after 3-bets, you should be 3-betting them more. This guy is, so, if he's 43% here, 43% of the time, I'm going to be range betting this board. Obviously, I have virtually no equity when called, but I'm just going to bet once and give up, which can be a profitable strategy, and it takes the pot down. So, but that fold to 3-bet and C-bet pot, fold to C-bet and 3-bet pot, that stat will take a while to converge, and if you aren't using a HUD, you're going to have to be more qualitative about these types of things. If you're playing on a site that doesn't allow it, or for whatever reason you aren't using it. Although if you are playing on a site that does allow HUDs, I think it's just kind of crazy not to use one. Just leaving money on the table. Here, this is probably, with the 2 players sitting out, probably something of an ICM situation going on here. And we are covered by the opener. And the big blind is, in this case, a good reg. Although he's not 9.1, it's not a crazy amount of squeezing. The solver at 40 big blinds is probably going to be... so we're dealing with cutoff open. Yeah, 5s is pure calling. And we're playing against two good regs. I don't see much reason to deviate. But I mean, if you look at that, and now once we got up to 40 big blinds, I think when we were at 35 big blinds, we were seeing the fours jamming somewhat, and now 40 big blinds is not. So I don't think a jam here would be crazy. Especially since it puts so much pressure on them in an ICM situation, what's most likely an ICM situation, given that we're four-handed. But we can go either way here for sure. Let's do a test right now, and see. We'll change it to ICM and two tables. Interesting now. The small blind is doing a lot more jamming. This is obviously assuming a perfectly symmetric stack size, which we don't have. But we're pretty close here. So yeah, a lot of these ICM situations, it's actually preferring jams. Let's see what it does versus the low jack. Just for fun. Now it is building a little more of a calling range here. Interesting. See, this hand feels very, very close to me. I think I would prefer the jam. Just to put the pressure on our opponents. But very, very close. And like with these solvers, like if you do the thing that the solver doesn't like, you might even not be off by much, And there are plenty of times where, the players that you're playing against will dictate a different play. See, now here we do get in trouble as we are forced to fold our fives. Sphere Monk, it's been around a really long time. Kind of a nit, not very good. Remember, I used to play with him on Carbon Poker. Really dating myself here. We have a kind of a weaker player in the big blind, which would lead me towards the call. And he's 3-betting only 7% and squeezing only 5. The opener is folding 42% to 3-bet, so it's pretty normal. Opening 45% from the button seems quite reasonable. I like the flat here. We do not. Oh, no, this is not Sphere Monk. Excuse me, Speak More. Completely different guy. But nonetheless, I don't know how I read that as Sphere Monk. But, no, you're 4-betting off our hand, unfortunately. I would have preferred to see a call there. This is probably going to be a pure call in GTO. But the thing is, the wrinkle here is we have this 11.73 guy who's going to jam a lot. We should just be folding this, I think. And if we go to GTO, I already ran this one in GTO. Go back to Chip EV. Versus we're versus the hijacked, and we're essentially 50 big blinds deep. Ace-9 splitting call fold. Should certainly be a fold, I think, with this big blind. Being so short that we're going to have to. We're not going to realize much of equity. We should be folding here. This is a mistake. Okay, we'll pop in 3 more hands, perhaps. Here, we're 70 big blinds, roughly. He's folding 50% 3-bets. We have an aggressive player in the big blind somewhat. He's not squeezing a ton, though, only 7%. And only 8.7% 3-bet from the big blind. And I'm pretty sure we're going to find that this hand is splitting. Yeah, King Queen off is splitting. I really don't think it makes much difference whether you 3-bet this or call it. Expectations are probably almost identical. We got one more here. This looks like a situation that's quite close. In this case, we have what looks to be a weaker player in the big blind playing 30, 16, 7. I would like to let him into the pot. Furthermore, the player on the button is a little bit on the tighter side, so he's going to have less foldage to our 3-bet. But we did, in fact, 3-bet it, and it worked out this time. All right, this will be our last hand for today. This I would just pure 3-bet at the stack depth. Unless I see something really weird when the stats come up, which I don't. I'm going to make a larger 3-bet on the low board and plenty of back doors, and we'll take it down. So, yeah, hopefully this video has been helpful. You should really be thinking about whether or not there's a fish in the big blind when you make the decision to 3-bet or flat. And also in ICM situations, you should be, more inclined to choose the crazy aggressive option, actually, which seems counterintuitive. But the difference being if, you aren't when you're putting pressure on the opponent, significant ICM pressure, you should skew towards the aggressive side of things. But when you're the one with the ICM pressure, you might want to do more calling. Another huge factor is how often the original opener is folding 2 3-bets. In general, like if I see that stat like above like 60%, I'm just gonna 3-bet or fold my hands. Unless there's a big blind guy who's even worse that we really want to let in, and our hand plays great multi-way. So yeah, those are the factors you kind of need to consider when deciding to 3-bet or just call in the small blind. So thanks for watching, and I think we're going to call it a day.